is Messy Brings Chaos, and we're your hosts. I'm Molly. I'm Bree.
And I'm Kelly.
Welcome to the circle, babe.
Where we share everything. Okay, guys, welcome back. I am kind of pumped about this game that we are gonna play. So typically we try to do a little something. Sometimes it's doing a story from our past, sharing a little bit of a messy moment. Today we're still gonna be messy, just a little messy. But we're gonna play a little game called Kiss, Marry, or Block. We wanted to try to keep with the names. So very similar to what you might like hear from Kiss, Marry, Kill, or other games that you might have played as like kids. We thought it would be fun to talk or maybe even do a little figuring out what we would do in a situation. Caveat: we're not going to use any real names in this situation.
No.
It saves us and them from being too messy because we can be a little messy, but we are not trying to create a hurricane. So if you figure it out, let us know. I would not be surprised if you figured it out.
If you figure mine out, we know each other. Like besties.
Literally besties if you could figure it out. But we hope you enjoy. I think I'm up first.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to ask or give me my options, and then
I'll start us off. Okay, so for this first round of Kiss, Marry, Block, I'm coming in hot with my boy Casper.
okay,
Casper.
all right. Out of the option, wait, can I get all three of my options? So I know where I can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Casper,
Okay.
Cisco,
Okay.
and CPAP.
Okay. The names are crazy. As you will notice, a lot of my names all start with a C. I don't know how it happened, but here we are. Okay. I think off the jump, I would probably block Casper.
Really?
Yeah. I think we're to that point where
It's been long enough.
mhm,
Okay.
and I
That great.
I mean, it was, but like I just want what's owed to me at this point. And so I've waited long enough. And so I think I'm cool on that. I think I could block him. Um
Now between CPAP and Cisco,
oh boy.
Kiss and
So legally, the mess. So we're gonna go with Cisco. I'm gonna kiss him.
Okay, right.
We're gonna kiss Cisco. Because I'm sure it would be fine. I'm sure it would be good. And then I will marry CPAP because he's very well traveled. And so why not? Why not travel the world? So CPAP and she with the CPAP. Hey, you know, he sleeps well, he won't snore.
But the sound of the machine.
It'll be my way. It'll literally be hey, I don't know. My dad has one. Like
I appreciate the spin you put on that.
my dad has one and it helped him sleep better and he wasn't snoring anymore. So,
That's fair. That's fair.
that's mine. Yeah.
3. Okay. You ready?
3.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay. All right. So your 3 are PhD,
Okay.
Fridgie, or Jeep guy.
Ah. Mm. This is hard. It is. This is so hard. Um, Block Frenchie. I was hoping for that. If we're gonna be honest. Yeah. We've gotten to that point.
We've gotten to it.
Kiss? Yes. Dang. Maybe Kiss PhD guy.
Okay.
Yeah. Only because I haven't seen it. I haven't seen Hell the Turn.
I haven't
It's the package yet, so I wouldn't be committed to the package.
I support it. I support it.
And maybe marry guy.
Interesting.
Okay.
Only because of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, only you like what you like.
Yeah. Okay. You know that you would be happy.
Yeah. So, like, PhD guy would also be a good one to marry, but because I haven't seen the package, just kiss.
That brings up a good question, but we'll hold that.
Okay, we'll hold the question. But okay.
So last but not least, Mall Alley. You have them written down.
You have pilot,
Mhm.
Navy boy,
An army.
and Army boy. Do we see a trend? I know last week we talked about types, and I'm a creature of habit.
Lit
Oh, so right off the bat, like, if we're blocking anyone, Army boy is for as many times as he blocked me and then came back into my life, it's my turn to do the blocking.
Cool.
When it comes to kiss, probably Navy boy.
Okay. Okay.
He very much showed his skills when I was with him, so
Okay.
I would absolutely kiss Navy boy, but Pilot has a good job. You can get security flight, so I might even though he kinda did me a little dirty a little while back, I think I would have to marry my pilot. Mm. And he still watches my story, so if you see this, hi.
Hi, besties.
Messy moments, messy romance.
I love that. That was the most fun. Um I have a question for you because of that, but it went out of it went away. So
Was it about the package?
yeah, but I don't remember how that was gonna frame my question. And since it's not about the discussion today, we'll hold on. We'll hold off of it.
We'll come back to the package.
We will I'm sure we will at some point in time. But we'll say that for its own podcast day.
Yeah.
We just thought that would be a fun little intro to this week. We are actually gonna pivot a little bit. We are not talking about relationships or situationships or dating or anything like that. We wanted to talk a little bit more about how we define friendships, how we categorize them, how we kind of figure out like where the trust is. How much can we tell this person? Where do we draw that line?
Mhm.
Um, and so who wants to start us off? Who wants to talk a little bit about how they kind of
I can because it's something I've had to work on a lot personally. Because growing up, I always thought I had friends, but I never had besties. I never had that one person. I was like a friend of a friend to most people. Like, I was kinda like the person you talked about last week who didn't belong to one clique.
Yeah.
I was just kind of around, so I never really had that one bestie until I got to college, and that wasn't until, like, senior year, so or junior, senior year. So I really had to take time and see, like, do they have my best interest? And what I really found out was after I left high school, the people I thought were my people, never really talked to them again. It was like, we graduated, we didn't go to the same college, ties cut. They'll hit me up for their MLMs from time to time, but obviously that's not a friendship, and that shows that I wasn't a true friend to them.
Yeah.
But when I met, Miss Queen Bee herself in college, I actually have her handwriting tattooed on me. She was the one who, like, stuck it out through thick and thin. But then it's kinda like you brought up, we have those work friends.
Yeah.
So and that's something I had to learn because I had a not so great experience at one of my prior employers that did a lot of damage. So I really came into our friendship with walls up because I was like, "Am I getting back into the same thing?" But for me, defining friendship defines how long we can be together, and then are you gonna turn around and talk about me? Yes, because that's happened a lot. But what I've learned from going from that coworker to friendship with you guys is that not everyone in the workplace is gonna be your best friend, but they can be. Yes, it depends on how they act outside the workplace and if there is that connection. That's how Kelly and I started. She invited me to a, work lunch, and we went to a nice little coffee place, and then she invited me to her apartment a couple weeks later for a game or something. So, it's really to see yeah, It's really for me to categorize my friendships. If we start out as coworkers, I have to see how you act outside of work
Mhm.
to see, and then also see if you go back and report anything to work. Yes. So I'm very guards up in the beginning, but after that, once I know you, it's guards down, like I'm your ride or die.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you kind of put it in a really good spot. Like, when I think about high school, I can't think of really anyone that I still talk to that's from high school.
Yeah.
I thought leaving high school because I had some, like, tight friends, like, we did everything together when I was in color guard, like, we spent every day together. Color guard was literally every day, so you practiced, you were there every football game, like, you were there, and those relationships before, like, I did it sophomore through senior year, so, like, I had really bonded with them, and so I always thought, like, even though we were going to different colleges, like, we were gonna be there till the end.
You were still gonna be that.
Yeah, like
Mm.
yeah, like, you share a lot with people that you go to high school with, but then you realize, well, it's because you see them every day. Like, you're literally seeing them every day, every week living weekday, for 12 years and then some. So, when you finally get to leave that place and you go off to college, you might realize, like, "Oh, you know, they're not really the people that, like, I wanna if I have the opportunity or if I'm not having to see them, if I'm not required to see them every day, are we still going to talk every day?"
Right.
And clearly, that didn't happen, and, like, it transitioned, like, I don't think I was hurt by not talking to them, like, I don't think they were hurt by, not me reaching out to them, like, we all started finding other groups, right? And we talked from time to time, like, it wasn't, like, an immediate, like, no, like, freshman year, even though we were in different places, we would get on Uvu at the time or Skype or Uvu times. Hey, shout out to them because they got me through a lot of my winter breaks and things like that with my friends, but, you know, then you get busy. You start doing other things with people at school and, like,
Joining clubs, you get a job. Yep.
shout out to my very first roommate in college. I'ma shout her out, her real name. Her name is Tiana. I'm sure she will pop up on this podcast at some point in time. But her and I have been ride or die since, like, freshman year of college. Summer before freshman year, we were roommates. We were doing a program together. 12 years, literally, yeah, 12 years later, for almost 13 years later, we haven't, ride or dies to this day. And I have some other friends that are very similar to that. So, like, I categorize her as, like, a ride or die. Like, I think when I think of the category, that is the top of the top. You have to really go through things, see each other in dark places or low places to really be like, oh, they would do anything for me. They would come, hell or high water would come and be with me if they needed to. And then I think of, those people from high school that haven't spoken to in years or, like, don't have communication with, like, they're not, I don't even know that I would consider them acquaintances. Like, we're not keeping up with one another. Like, we're Facebook friends, but, like, I'm not liking your stuff or commenting on your stuff or not messaging one another. So it's more like, if I see you out, cool, I will say hello. Like, we didn't end on a bad note. Have I ended on bad notes with some? Yes. But, like, if we ended on a thing and it just phase, like, it fizzled out, like, cool, like, I'll say hello.
Like, there's no bad blood.
Right.
Yeah.
And keep it moving. Like, I yeah, I don't really have I feel like the middle one is coworkers.
Yeah.
Coworkers is in that middle spot where it's like,
It's hazy. Yeah. It could go in one or two way.
I'm not sure. Like, I'm coming into a new job. I'm about to be on my year mark there, and it's like I'm just now getting to a place where I'm seeing one of them more frequently out of the office. Like, we have really become really close over the last couple of months. And, like, we're close, we're tight. Like, I would definitely say that we're good friends. We're great friends. We trust one another. We can talk. We can share things out. Like, she's come over. You guys have met them. And so I, but it takes a while, especially at work. Like, it's not going to be like immediately like, oh, cool, we can vibe. took us over a year, like,
Took us 6 months.
yeah, it does take us that long, but we were also close. We're both living in the same, we were working through Zoom. So, like, it took us finally meeting in person, working together to be like, "Hey, over here." Like, we connect on like this like a mental level. We understand one another. We agree on a lot of things. So, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, it's the same. Like you, I don't think I've talked to anyone from high school. Of course, we follow each other on social media. Cool, cool, cool. But I feel like with friendship, I'm looking for someone who supports me
Mm.
for whatever. If I'm raising money, support me. Like, you know, that's what I consider friendship. Um, and to get to that level, I think it's just closeness, like, you have to talk to them, like, you have to be around them. You also have to support them in their moments. Um, and I don't know, for coworkers, I kind of fill out the situation, like, when I came over, Molly, I asked you that question, and I was like, "I'm just gonna see how to test in the waters," and we all passed with flying color. For sure, so you just kinda have to, like, feel it out. I'm trying to think of any other situations.
I have a question.
Okay.
Like, when you guys are thinking about, where you would, like, categorize this, like, say you had, like, a really great friend, and maybe it was someone from college. You when, you haven't talked in a couple of months, how would you, like, how and they reach back out and you pick back up, like,
Mhm.
you're didn't miss a beat, like, things are good, like, you from a guy's perspective, because 'cause I've heard this on podcasts before, like, they still consider them best friends, like, they're still besties, they picked right up, like nothing ever happened, like, because they know that they're both busy, they live separate lives, or maybe they're states away, maybe they don't live in the same state, so, like, where would you categorize that? Like, would you say, like, that is still a really good friend, or would you say, like, maybe that's more like just a friend, like someone that you, like, communicate with from time to time, but you're not gonna share everything with it?
I would say it depends on how the conversation goes, and
Mhm.
as long as it didn't end on a bad note, and that's why we hadn't talked in months, like, honestly, from just today, I reached out to one of my really good friends, I've told y'all about him, Elon Law. Oh, yeah, so, my law school friend, I haven't talked to him, it's been either over a year. I still consider him one of my best friends because I know if I picked up the phone right now and, I sent him a TikTok earlier, that's what made me think of it because it just reminded me of him to open that channel of communication again. If I called him right now and said, "Hey, X, Y, and Z is going down, I need you," he'd find a way to make it to where we are,
Yeah, it's
and
great.
I know that about him. I know that about Queen Bee, like, back from my hometown, like, if I needed her where we are, that's all I've gotta tell her, and we'll go weeks without talking, and sometimes our only communication's on Snapchat,
Mm.
but I know if I need her, it's one phone call, it's one text.
Yeah.
Now, if we ended on a bad note or something, like, I'll hear you out. If we were besties before, you're probably gonna be knocked down a peg more like to friend,
Mhm.
probably not all the way to acquaintance depending on what it was, but it would be knocked down a peg if it ended on a bad note, but other than that, I think I would be similar to, like, the guy's perspective, like, I could pick back up and be like, "Nothing ever happened."
Yeah.
So maybe it's a gender thing. I don't know. I think it depends on if you want to keep that relationship
Yeah.
in your life.
Yeah.
So, I have a really, really great friend, I would consider her my best friend. Um, she got married and she moved, and of course, her life is gonna look a little different,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna give her grace,
Yeah.
and I know that she's busy and I'm busy, and we didn't speak every day, but I know when we come back together,
Yeah.
it's gonna be like old times. We can, like, laugh at old situations, bring up new things, and we're gonna be good. Like nothing ever happened. Right, so I think it depends on if you want that relationship in your life.
Yes.
It has to be a mutual thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I agree with you guys, and so maybe it's not a gender thing, right? So maybe it's literally the commitment to the relationship. Like, I love one of my best friends, she now has, a little girl, she's living in another state, like, she was definitely right there along with the other college friends. Like, we were all very close. There was a group of, like, 6 of us. If you saw one, you saw the rest of us. We ate lunch together, dinner together. We all lived together at one point, and so now I know she's got a whole 'nother world. She's taking care of a whole 'nother life, and so it's not as easy to communicate, and I think that's not all on her, it's on me too. Like, I get so in my head and so much in my space, and I get comfortable because, like, I have YouTube, right? Like, I realize that all the time that, like, I kinda just, like, shell off the rest of the world and just, like, well, I don't need anybody else because, like, I literally have y'all to talk to, but, like, I can't do that. Like, I need to continue to reach out to the friends, my other friends, who's like, I don't want that to fizzle out. Like, I tell my mom sometimes, she's like, "Hey, have you heard anything from, like, such and such, or have you talked to, your friends in college?" I'm like, not as much." She's like, "You need to do better. Like, you need to be talking to them. You don't need to, like, cut them out just because you have like, and so
Good question.
yeah.
So, do you find yourself being the only person that's reaching out in a relationship? Because I feel like me and you are the same, where we support people more
Mhm.
than what we're getting. And maybe we also need to do a better job of in our group, like supporting one another and being the first to like take action or something. Yeah. So that's a question.
Yes, uh, but again, I think I've always been that way, and I think they expect it a little bit, and it's not a bad expectation, but I think, like, I think all of my friends are all in that headspace where it's like, when we're doing our own thing, we get busy. It's not that we don't love each other, like, we just we're in the grind, we're focusing on what's in front of us, and we're not on our phones or, like, because I don't have enough time in my day to be on my phone all day to be texting back and forth, and that's like, I remember in college, I was on my phone all the time. I was texting 10, 15 people at the same time, having those multiple conversations. Can't do that anymore.
No,
I have a full-time job, like, and that requires a lot of me, like, my attention is elsewhere most of the day when I'm at work, and so when I'm coming home, like, I'm talking to you, like, we're doing this podcast, I might go to the gym, and I'm ready to go to bed, like, I'm exhausted, I am
you need time to reset.
yet. And so I even though, like, yes, it might be that expectation of that I put on myself to do it, like, but I need to do a better job of that. Like, I never want other relationships to fizzle out. Like, I I find importance in friendships, and so I think would it be great for them to reach out to? Yes, but I also feel like I'm bad about keeping the conversation going. So I don't want it to be like a one track, hey, I'm reaching out just because I have a question. Like, I want to just check in from time to time. Um, but there's that mutual respect where we both understand, like, hey, I know that you're busy. Like, I know that you're busy. I know you've got another life. I know you've got a kid. I know you're trying to get your life together and finances and you're trying to move and you're trying to get a new job. I was just wanted to check in. Like, we don't gotta have a full-blown conversation or a 2-hour conversation, so, like, "How are you?" Like, I just just checking in and, making that more of a priority,
Yeah.
thinking about that.
Yeah. I was thinking about that the other day and I don't know, I was staring in the mirror and I was like, I wonder if I didn't say anything, like who would reach out to see if I was okay?
Did you get an answer?
I I mean,
Come up with an answer?
I'm the way that I think, I feel like no one.
Mm.
I was
So
in that same, do you know, in a headspace. Other than like you guys, I am bad about not reaching out to people.
mhm.
And it's not for like me not wanting to. It's just I did get in that mind space. I have been told in like relationships prior, like if they want to talk to you, they will. Yeah. And I kind of put that on friendships sometimes too. So that's why like I reached out to my law school friend this morning because I haven't heard from him. And it's not a one-way street, and I've realized that, so I do want to be better about that because I do have friends I still consider pretty close from college that I don't hear from much because we have lives. We have all these things going on. So, I want them to understand, like, I've not forgotten you. I'm just a bad communicator sometimes, and I'm just also an anxious person, and I'm just like, "Well, then what if I reach out and they don't respond? That's gonna hurt."
Yeah.
So, it's just for me, it's figuring out the line of when to reach out and when is reaching out too much.
Mm. Um, mm, I think That's a leads to a good question of, like, where do you draw the line? Where do you finally realize, like, I've put enough of work into this, I've put effort into this, I've asked the questions, and they're no longer giving to me what I'm giving to them? Where, how do you identify that?
Mhm. I mean, I think as we grow older, you just have to sit down and have that conversation with them. It's gonna be a hard conversation. It's not gonna be the most comfortable, but if you want that relationship, then you need to speak up and then you both need to put in the work,
Mhm.
even if it's just a little bit.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you have that conversation and they can't commit to that or they're saying, "Oh, I'm doing enough," then maybe that's when you end it. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think listen, I think we could probably talk in circles about this all day. I think friendships are really important in anyone's lives, like, whether you're a guy or a girl, like, there are people that you want in your corner, and you know who's in your corner versus who you work with versus acquaintances, people that you might say hello to on the street. Um, but I think to sum up, I think what we're saying or talking about is, like, who who values you, you'll notice.
Yes.
And those are the people that you wanna keep with you. You might go through things that you don't know that you're gonna go through. Like, ask yourself, like, who do you want near you or when you're going through those situations, who's gonna be a ride or die for you? And then if there's people in your life right now that are not doing that for you or providing a solid, foundation.
Maybe reconsider their
Yep.
friendship and their
Yeah, maybe there needs to be a friendship breakup in that situation.
yeah.
Like, do you have a conversation? Is it worth having the conversation? Like, those are 2 questions. Like, do you have the conversation? Sure, but, like, is it worth it? Like, are you both gonna still get something out of it? Or is this still gonna be a one-way street? Like, even if you have this conversation, do you think this is gonna have a full
Is it helpful?
Is it beneficial in your life? Is it adding to your life or is it subtracting? Because if it's not adding anything, then it doesn't need to be in your life.
Right.
And I think with that, we will probably divvy off into a couple of other discussions, kind of going into more of what does this look like in maybe relationships, girls and guys, friendships, breakups, exes, all the things. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
I think this is a really great discussion on importance of friendships, the expectation, what you need as out of a friendship versus like what to look for in red flags in friendships.
Yeah.
But thank you guys. Thank you for this. I felt like this one was a little bit more serious.
It's a heavy in the toxic, but we appreciate you sticking with us for this half hour. Follow our socials. They'll be linked down in the show notes. And don't forget to keep it messy, babes.
See you next time.
Bye.